to the 52 Scott Podcast for another episode of Black Friday. I'm your host, K Money, and in the building with me, my co-host, Freddie G, Slash, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. You can find us on Twitter at 52 Scott Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And if you're on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe. What's up, fellas? Welcome to another Black Friday. Today's topic, bro, it's one that I don't think either one of us are very familiar with. And I'm gonna start off by asking that question. Have either of you ever played hockey? And you know, there are several types. You have field hockey, ice hockey. Those are the only two I'm familiar with. Hockey. You played hockey?
Air hockey.
Air hockey. Air hockey. That's all that's the one that we probably all are familiar with.
Bust my knuckles up with.
Now, I have been able to play field hockey before. I went to a sports camp when I was in middle school through the church or whatnot, elementary and middle school. So I was introduced to a lot of sports that I wouldn't have been introduced in the hood. And field hockey was one of them. So through that was probably the only reason that I was introduced to the game of hockey. But prior to that, you know, just in general conversation, I don't think any of us would ever be bringing up the topic of hockey. Mm-hmm. For one, we don't live in a cold-natured environment, so that's a sport that's definitely not where we're from, which is one reason why we probably don't now. I don't know how the blacks are on the East Coast, where mm-hmm. you know there is a lot of snow and ice, but its true origins are murky in regards to hockey. And Canada, beginning in the 19th century, gets credit basically mm-hmm. for modernizing it and popularizing it mm-hmm. as the game as we know it today. Ice hockey has been debated for years, with tracing the game's roots back to regions of Europe and also connecting it to early Native American sports. There are claims that black residents of Nova Scotia invented the game as early as 1815. And according to a black historian, Chris Stevenson, hockey as it's played today, like I said earlier, didn't exist until early 1815, when a group of children from 4 families of escaped slaves played the game in Nova Scotia. And as in this area of Nova Scotia, it's actually known as the Northwest Arm, and they played this during the cold winter months. The families, as I mentioned, 4 families. Kearney is the last name of one. Williams, Monroe, and Leo are the names of these 4 families, and again, they're from escaped slaves. Now, these families were said to be from the Chesapeake Bay area in the mid-Atlantic United States. Now, the sons and grandsons of these slaves ended up creating what was known as the CHL, the Colored Hockey League. Mm-hmm. And this was created in 1895. Now, before I go any further, man, I'm just wondering and thinking, you know, do you guys know anybody that's from the East Coast? You guys know anybody black period that's played the game of hockey? They may have grown up on the East Coast, where there is ice, Minnesota or somewhere.
I don't.
And I know, you know, we've been in the military, and we come across a diverse group of individuals, and even the guys that I do know never mention anything about hockey. Now that I think about it, And I'm just thinking, you know, knowing that a black man possibly created the game. You know, because a white man created basketball, and mm-hmm. we ended up perfecting it, but playing it a lot better than the white guys. So just think if it was, let's flip it and think how life could be different or would be different if hockey was just as famous or known as basketball. You know, the type of players that we would be emulating and wanting to be, just like Jordan, you know, the Jordan of hockey.
Which would be Gretzky, right?
Well, it could be a black man.
Black dude.
Yeah, you know.
Willie Thomas.
That's just crazy to even picture that. You know, that doesn't even look right.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was fascinating, man, to hear how in this CHL league, they actually had over 400 players, and black teams were actually playing white teams. Now, if you guys had 1 or 2 guesses, what do you think was the fall of the league? What you think caused it to go down?
I think it's two things. I think white folks start jacking them forward just like they do with everything, with music, with just our culture, and that would have been a part of black culture. And so I think that once white folks see it and think that, oh, I can make some money off of this, this could be something, they infiltrate it and they take it from us.
Yeah.
Or it could be that they just didn't have enough money to keep the league going.
Yeah,
I say
that's
they
what I
got-
would say. The money part may have been an issue. It may not have been that many, viewers or watchers at this point in time.
Well, you got to keep in mind this is the early 1800s.
And
when
hockey is a cold sport.
Right.
So
you got to think about where
yeah.
the location wise, But I mean, you got some places where it's
So you said it was do they got an actual date? The 1800 or what? Like
well,
you said,
the
1800,
CHL was created in 1895.
1895.
I don't have an exact month, but 1895, and this was again in Nova Scotia.
Yeah. So I would assume maybe finding black players because
Well, they
of
had
cold.
over 400.
They had over 400.
400.
They got jacked in.
Now what's crazy
Then they got
is
jacked. They got jacked. That's it. Straight up. They just got jacked for it.
let me back up again in regards to the CHL league. It was created originally to get black men to go to church. The original purpose was to bring black men to church. And I mentioned the sons and grandsons. Henry Williams, James Borden, James Kinney, and James Johnson were the actual grandsons that originated the CHL. And again, the purpose was to bring black men to church. And at one point, the league had over 400 players that competed against, like I say, they competed against one another, and they also competed against white teams. But eventually, racism and politics is what was which you pretty much hit the nail on the head, Freddie G, when you said white folks taking it. I think I saw a read where somewhere in Canada, one of those higher ups, lord, somebody type of people, saw the game and they started playing it, and they I guess that's when it was taken over from the blacks in a sense.
Now, and you said it was 1890 something, right?
1895 is when the
So-
league was
And
created.
slavery was abolished in Canada in 1834. So it was some years after slavery, but you got to think of. I look at it from the standpoint of the Jim Crow era here. Although slavery was abolished here for us in whatever years, and then you went to the civil rights and all that stuff. There's still that period where the residue
Yeah.
was still there.
Because it wasn't.
And I think that with Canada, that residue was still there.
Yeah, you got to think how communication was back then. It wasn't like motherfuckers had a TV or radio to where they could hear the most recent news happening. Hey, we free now. That shit. It took
Nah,
probably
it didn't have
years
none of that.
before it got to certain areas. I can imagine. But this fact that I'm speaking on has never really been confirmed. But hockey experts, say the game most likely evolved from the Native Americans, but and Black Canadians.
So people of color.
Native Americans. With that
People of color.
Yeah, people of color.
And it
'cause they
wasn't
could-
white folks.
right.
And
Indian.
right here it says, and I'm back in history. In Egypt, 4,000 year old carvings feature teams with sticks and a projectile. Hurling dates to before 1272 BC in Ireland, and there is a description from approximately 600 BC in ancient Greece, where the game may have been called keratizine or something. But it's the same. This is what they was doing in Egypt, and they said what 600 BC, and they got carvings of Egyptians with these sticks that's shaped like hockey sticks.
Yeah.
So they're thinking that may have came. This is the
Now, that would
history
have
of
been
it.
before the 1800s.
Before that, yeah. So I mean, this is the
But it's still
actual
somebody of
history.
color.
It's people. What I was getting.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
people
still-
of color.
yeah. Now, you know, I mentioned earlier how these grandsons, I named these 4 grandsons that were from runaway slaves, and I'm picturing us 4 at the table. That's like us, you know, 40 years ago, just in the streets, just kids trying to think of something to pass time, and it's cold. Now, again, we're not used to the cold like I'm sure it is in Nova Scotia, so I can't imagine us coming up with a game of this nature, but shit, you can imagine the games we played as kids that we did create, you know.
Oh yeah, a lot of
it's kind of on those lines, you know, and it shows how kids can be creative also by just using their imagination.
And I was just about to say, I was just thinking to myself, I'm talking about the cold now because we older, we ain't trying to be in that cold, but I thought about it, we played football in the cold. We wouldn't have cared as long as we was active. We would have played in the cold, so I want to retract that.
We'd have had. I mean, if we were used to that environment, we would have.
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah, you would have.
We would have dressed accordingly.
Yeah,
and appropriate. But
now I also think that too. When you have less, that's when you're more creative.
right.
Because you got to think about the kids. Like this may sound simple, although football was in existence, but I can recall. Okay, we don't have enough players to play 11 on 11 with a tackle football, and we don't have a football. Somebody need to take their sock off and put it in a ball, and we're gonna play hot ball.
Yeah.
Hot ball, man.
And so that's the creativity. So I believe that when you have less,
You become
you're more creative.
that's funny you mentioning that, because I bet you the person that came with that 7-on-7 probably had that same insight at it earlier. You know, back in the day, we didn't have enough players, and we tried to just make it even across. But I don't know how the 7-on-7 really go, but I'm just thinking that maybe.
Yeah, I think that I feel you on that, but I think it's more easier to scale down from 11-man organized football, and if you played that 11-man organized football, then you look at when y'all break off into groups. You know, you got your linemen here and all this people over here. Now let's get all of the skill positions to go over here. And I think that it's easier. You always had a quarterback. You always had a wide receiver. You always had. So I think it's easier to simulate plays and do what you need to do dealing with 7-on-7 because those are more the skill plays.
Yeah, you
eliminate the lineman because that's what you did when you broke off into groups. I didn't think
about the players, and that's exactly what it is, the skilled players that are out there.
Yeah.
Were you about to say something, Queen?
No, I was going to say he's inventing the games. Remember the crates, the basketball? We used to take the milk crates.
That's not us inventing it because that's what the white men did using the wicker basket.
The wicker basket sure did.
So that was us being smart enough to go back in time to actually let's do this with the crates or whatever. They did like this back then. Now here goes something when it comes to basketball that I think kids, our community, where they actually were thinking. See, I've actually seen an actual bicycle rim with the spokes out. They've taken the spokes out
and made them go
and nailed the 10-speed spoke or 20-inch, either one. I think it was 10-speed though. Now 20-inch, either one. But I've seen the actual rim with no spokes, nailed up
with a backboard.
with a wooden little piece of wood, and it wasn't like a big backboard. It was just enough to nail it up to. And I watched dudes shoot basketball like that.
You saw this?
I saw it with my own eyes.
Oh shit!
It wasn't like it was regular. It was nothing to see.
I would love to see something like that.
Yeah,
that's very creative, though.
Yeah, of course they didn't have.
Yeah.
So instead of going to get these milk crates and square, man, let's take this bicycle rim and take the spokes out and put it up there. I done seen it with my own eyes a lot.
Yeah, and that makes sense what you're saying because you can see it now on social media how they'll show somebody that's training, whether he's a very good basketball player or something sports-wise, but he doesn't have the same equipment that we have here in the States because of where he's from. But he's substituting, this motherfucker is pulling a tree log or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But he's making away with the less that he has, but he's still able to accomplish. Yeah. and basically be able to, like you say, compete with, other guys of his.
Kind of like that Rocky movie when you had the Russian that had all the top-notch gear. Then Rocky was in the mountains. He was walking in the snow with logs and stuff. So
having less kind of makes you think more. I think it makes you
more creative.
It makes you think more, exercises your brain more. But again, just to see these kids at that age, not knowing at that time that they were actually creating something that would be very pivotal in the world that we live in today and become a very, I guess, well-known sport. I don't know how well-known it is because we still not into it.
Well,
it's a lot of different ways to play it, though.
Yeah, so. I just think that I think the sport is well known because we actually know about it.
We know about it, right?
But our ethnic group don't participate in it as much.
Because it's a cold weather sport.
And that's crazy because now you're starting to hear about black hockey players in the NHL, which it sounds new to us, but
they've been there.
It's not new to the black.
Yeah,
it's just and they're coming in making noise. They, I guess, taking it back, but the blacks were known for. Some of them. Well, let me back up also because I was speaking on the CHL, which again was created in 1895 and it lasted until 1930. So it had a pretty nice run. The NHL was actually created in 1917. So somewhere I saw or read that all of this information in regards to the CHL was somehow burned. Which I could see that happening. You know what I'm saying? People not wanting that history to get out there, but they're still.
But here's the thing with that. It's been happening. Let me show you something. The MLB and the Negro League. Same thing. You had the ABA and the NBA. The ABA were more high-flying, dunking basketballs and stuff like that. They didn't do that in the NBA. And so it was more black players in the ABA.
Now that I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
They didn't have the 3-point line. The ABA had the 3-point line. The ABA was dunking, and they had the red, white, and blue basketball. Whereas the NBA, they were more structured. Well, the ABA was getting a lot of hey, this is more exciting, dunking, and shooting, and doing all of this stuff. So okay, let's go and, for lack of better words, infiltrate that and merge that so we can get some of them dollars, just like the MLB and the now. So that's always been happening. That's always been happening.
Yeah, it's nothing brand new. And seeing how you pointed those two examples, it's nothing new, like you said. It's just new to us, but it's shit that's always been going on and unfortunately continuously going on.
Let me say this here, and this is just a little known history fact. And I know that this show is not about this particular sport or whatever, but lacrosse.
I was gonna mention.
Oh, you were?
Well, I thought it was like a cousin of hockey.
And there's another one.
So lacrosse, right? You would think that there wasn't a lot of black players in lacrosse. Let me tell you one of the most famous black person that played lacrosse, and he was allegedly was a better lacrosse player than the sport in which he excelled in. Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Jim Brown.
Oh, okay. I knew I had heard of him.
Jim Brown.
But I
so that's black. That's a black man playing this sport.
And I think lacrosse may have been also invented because
and I can see that because black folks can run.
Here's another one that's similar to hockey. Polo.
Yeah.
You just on a horse.
Yeah. Well, we know black didn't
ain't getting on no horse.
Well, we just know they didn't ride no horse and try to hit
and trying to hit no little ball.
And they had water polo.
They had water polo.
Now, see, that's another game that I was introduced to at that camp. I've been able to play that as well.
Man, let me ask you. You get tired real fast. I know you're a decent swimmer, so.
Well, in the pool, because in competitive water polo, they're treading water.
Yeah.
We could actually touch the ground.
Oh,
so we wouldn't tread like they tread.
Okay, y'all
so,
cheating.
Yeah, we kids, bro.
That's like when you be in the pool and drunk be pretending like they swimming, they be walking, but they be doing their hands.
Yeah, we bouncing like a motherfucker, getting ready to throw that ball.
Straight up.
Yeah.
You not swimming.
Yeah.
If you swimming, your body like your head
You don't
is.
see no legs kicking.
Yeah. Black fact, man. Eddie Martin, they sound black. He of the Holly Fox Eureka was said to be the first player to hit the hardest shot in hockey. And today we know that shot as the slap shot. Yeah. And this was done in a game in 1906. So shout out, Eddie. I appreciate y'all joining us, man. Come back next week. Peace out. This concludes another Black Friday episode. And be sure you tune in next week for another dope episode of Music Monday with Slash. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast.